The moment cracked like thunder over a clear afternoon. Sunlight poured through the restaurant's wide glass windows, glinting off silverware and polished wood. When my wife calmly announced that she was leaving me, her words landing with the weight of a lifetime collapsing. The hum of lunchtime chatter blurred, my chest tightened, and just as the world seemed to tip, the front door opened, and she froze, her certainty draining from her face as if daylight itself had betrayed her. If you believe that kindness can change destinies and that second chances sometimes arrive when we least expect them, please take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Dreams Journal B. Your support keeps stories like this alive. It was early afternoon, the kind of day where shadows stayed soft and forgiving. I had chosen the place because it was bright, because I hoped the light would help us see each other again. My name is Rowan Hale, and I had spent the last year trying to hold together a marriage that felt like a house quietly losing its foundation. My wife, Alara Quinn, had grown distant in ways that didn't shout. They whispered. She worked late, spoke less, and smiled with a careful politeness that hurt more than anger ever could. I blamed myself for the slow drift, for the long hours at a job that paid the bills but stole my evenings, for thinking stability was the same as love. I remember watching dust dance in the sunlight between us as she explained her decision with an odd calm, like someone reciting weather facts. She spoke of feeling unseen, of needing space to find herself, of the quiet exhaustion of trying to be happy. I nodded because that's what you do when your heart is breaking in public. The room smelled of coffee and warm bread, and every ordinary detail felt cruel in its normalcy. I felt small, not because she was leaving, but because I realized how much I had stopped listening. Then the door opened. The bell chimed softly, and a man stepped inside carrying a familiar posture that tugged at memory. He was older now, with silver threading his hair, but the way he moved, steady, unassuming, was unmistakable. His name was Arlen Moore, and he had once been my mentor, the man who taught me how to build things that lasted. Years earlier, when my father died and everything felt unmoored, Arlen had given me a job, patience, and a belief that decency mattered even when no one was watching. I hadn't seen him in years. Alara's face changed. Not dramatically, but enough. Her eyes widened, her breath caught, and the certainty she had carried moments earlier faltered. I didn't understand why until I remembered a story she once shared during a walk in the park. A story about a man who had helped her mother when she was a child, who paid a hospital bill without asking for thanks, who taught her that goodness could be quiet. She had never known his name. I had. Arlen noticed us and paused, recognition blooming slowly. He approached with the same warmth I remembered, the kind that didn't demand anything. In the bright afternoon, he greeted us like old friends, asking about work, about life, about whether we were taking care of ourselves. There was no confrontation, no revelation spoken aloud, but the space between Alara and me shifted. I saw her eyes fill not with regret, but with reflection. The world has a way of holding up mirrors when we're ready to see. Arlen sat with us briefly, speaking about a community project he was supporting, about how small acts could ripple farther than we imagine. He mentioned a scholarship in my father's name that he had quietly funded, something I never knew. I felt my chest loosen, grief and gratitude tangling in the sunlight. Alara listened, her posture softening, as if a memory of who she wanted to be was returning to her hands. When Arlen left, the afternoon seemed louder, brighter. We sat there, the table between us no longer a battleground but a bridge. I realized that love hadn't vanished. It had been buried under routines and unspoken fears. I also realized that leaving might have felt like courage to Alara because staying had required hope, and hope can be terrifying when you're tired. The days that followed were not magically fixed. We took walks in daylight parks, not to argue but to listen. We spoke about loneliness without assigning blame, about dreams postponed and how resentment grows in silence. I learned to come home earlier, not just physically but emotionally. Alara learned to ask for what she needed before it hardened into despair. We sought help, not as a last resort but as an act of care. Months later, under the same generous sun, we returned to that restaurant. Not to erase the past, but to honor it. The light felt different because we were different. More honest, more fragile, more alive. I understood then that second chances are not gifts dropped from the sky. They are choices made in ordinary daylight, sustained by patience and humility. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of someone you love or a moment you wish you could revisit, please take a moment to engage with this video. Your likes, shares, and comments help these stories reach people who need them. Before the ending, a special request. Please comment the word hope if you believe that even breaking moments can lead to brighter days. We don't always get the miracle we expect. Sometimes, the miracle is recognition. Seeing goodness walk back into the room and realizing it has been guiding us all along. In the clear light of day, with nothing hidden, we chose to stay, to rebuild, and to believe that kindness, once remembered, can still change everything.